I hope you have unlimited text messaging. By Miss Carr. Chapter 60. Conversation 43. I have absolutely horrible taste in men. You don't count. HSBF. So I just saw my ex-boyfriend dragged out of his house in handcuffs by the FBI on 6 different news channels. The words collusion, Stark Industries, and attempted murder were also on screen. Is there something you need to tell me? Me. Good to know you got the new TV. Did they show Agent 13 as being the one dragging him out in handcuffs? She really enjoyed that. That's my new moment of zen. HSBF. I could tell by the almost smile. Me. Also, if you kept watching, you would notice that his wife and now former head of the Jarvis Foundation was also dragged out in handcuffs by Carter Jr. She would be the one responsible for at least the embezzlement portion of the news ticker. HSBF. Why? She didn't give your allergy information to the watchdogs or something like that. Why would she do that? Me. Nope, she did her own dirty work. It helped that she hired her sister as the caterer and her brother-in-law's friend or something as an emergency room physician at the trauma center closest to the banquet. That way, if the plan failed spectacularly, he could just choke me with a pillow. I'm not sure if his arrest actually made the news. Snooksums is trying to keep it quiet. HSBF. Oh, God. So they really think it's her? Me. Yes, along with her spouse for the attempted murder part anyway. It's a mess, and the agents are still trying to piece everything together. HSBF. Why did she and her various family members try to kill you? Me. So in addition to making sure some sunflower was in every single entree for the dinner, she was also caught moving money from the foundation to various banks in Russia. The same banks that have ties to the watchdogs. HSBF. What? Me. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's back up to before the incident. Skyquake tipped off Yo-Yo about 3 days before the gala that somebody connected to SI was making nice with the watchdogs. She uncovered some odd transactions between an SI server and various banks, but no idea who was in bed with them. The whole thing was enough to make us cautious. HSBF. Was that why so many agents were with you? Me. Kind of. Agent to Agent was worried about an attack. There were credible threats made. However, we all assumed they would go in guns blazing in grand supervillain fashion, not take advantage of my food allergies. But then again, maybe they were taking their cues from the great Hydra wedding fiasco of 2014. HSBF. That thing a few years ago where people turned to stone at a military wedding? Me. Sort of. HSBF. That still doesn't explain why the husband and wife team tried to kill you. Me. And their extended family. Me. The most popular theory is that Mrs. Wyndham West holds the same very anti-human beliefs as her spouse and did not want to be part of a charity that actually supports inhuman rights. Instead of resigning like a sane person, she believed that my demise would keep that from happening. Or maybe that was what her husband thought. They're still trying to figure that part out. HSBF. What is wrong with some people? Me. I'm sure it's a mixture of cognitive bias and extreme stupidity. Apparently neither she nor her spouse realized that would just make the situation worse because most of my wealth would be going to various charity and trusts after my demise, one of which would support the Avengers and another for the Enhanced Person Defense Fund. HSBF. I don't want to think about that possibility. I'd rather have you around. You are more important than money. Me. That's sweet. But it is good to have a plan in place. Well, a better one than when I was giving my art to the Boy Scouts. HSBF. I heard about that. Please don't do something like that again. Me. I'll try. Me. Sharon has another theory. She believes his wife found out that her husband fucked an Avenger, but didn't know exactly which one. Since I am the only one that's openly bi, I became the lucky winner. She conveniently forgot about Scarlet and the spider. HSBF. So it is really my fault for having god-awful taste in men? Me. I wouldn't say god-awful taste. I'm not that horrible now that I've stopped making weapons of mass destruction. Okay, there was that murder butt snafu, but we mostly dealt with that. Okay, maybe you're right. HSBF. Seriously, Tony! Me. Agent has a different theory. He believes Miss Wyndham West wasn't happy that I was bringing someone else on to oversee the SI charity foundations, and not just because that person was my new BF. No one knew that was going to be a name-only thing, so Agent thinks that was what scared her into taking drastic homicidal action. Me. I'm sure the forensic accountants that I just hired are going to discover all sorts of fun and possibly illegal discrepancies. They've already found a few considering the indictment. HSBF. So it was my fault? Me. We've talked about this. Do not take responsibility for the stupidity of others. I'm stupid enough for both of us. This one's on me. HSBF. How are you blaming yourself for this? Me. I have a team of people who keep a watch on how money moves at SI after the business partner stabbing me in the back via kidnapping fiasco, because I'm not going through that again. However, I may have been slightly too trusting when it comes to the foundations and did not have the same things in place. We didn't even know to start looking at Wyndham West until Clint's sister showed up a couple of days ago. HSBF. I am happy she was able to help. Me. I'm just happy she was willing to help. HSBF. Is she okay? Me. Yes, she's settled. She even managed to start her own business. She was also upset that she had to cancel the date to make her little visit. Apparently she's given up on my Signsboro ever coming back, but it's probably for the best that she is moving on. HSBF. Probably. So she's retiring? Me. By spy standards, but maybe just for the moment. She is on standby, like the bulletproof pacifists. HSBF. She's only in her 30s, that is really not a retirement age. Me. Just like you're only in your 30s. HSBF. Question mark? Me. I'm not answering that one. You have mentioned before that you don't want to know things that I discovered from unauthorized access. HSBF. That's probably for the best. Now that the arrests have been made, does that mean that you get to go home? Me. Yes! The weeks before South Africa are going to be total chaos, so I need as much time as possible to prepare. In addition to this mess, I have to clean house at the foundations. That's going to be so much fun. HSBF. I'm sure not all of them were corrupt. Dina was great. She did really good work coordinating all our children's hospital visits. Me. And you were the one who turned a Twitter fight about the Super Bowl with a celebrity into a $500,000 fundraising activity. HSBF. That's because Chris was really nice. Me. Despite what you said about his team, I also have 200 messages to respond to. I hate when email piles up. HSBF. Can't your assistant cover them? Me. She did. Those are the ones I need to at least read. I'll probably only respond to a few. I miss the old days when I paid people to read the boring stuff for me. HSBF. Does this mean that you're not going to have time for a movie date? Me. I'm always going to make time. Me. Okay, Agent America just called me a Japanese swear, so it's probably time for me to go. HSBF. What does it even mean? Me. I'm sure it's a Chinese curse word. Friday can render the word in a text message, but will not tell me the definition. HSBF. Possibly. Text me when you get home. Me. Will do, Gumdrop.